The first duty of government is to protect our rights.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government in what we were tasked to do.
If you really want to doge, this is how you doge. You don't vote for bad legislation that expands government. Thank you.
Now we're talking about taxpayer money, and we're talking about accountability. It is their money. This isn't a government program we're actually spending on. We're actually giving it back to the people of Idaho.
There's other options for making our ballots more secure, such as using watermarks or putting holograms on the ballots.
And I think that that's what we need to look at more, is trying to get back to what we used to be, where our churches and our families took care of each other instead of relying on the state.
I asked the question rhetorically, if we gave them another $1 billion, they wouldn't be happy. Well, we've given them $2 more billion, and it's not enough.
We need to start making Idaho first. We need to start making America first.
Other states like Texas and Florida have enacted similar laws to address illegal immigration, both locally and in their communities. And Idaho has the right to protect itself when the federal government has failed to do that.
COVID presented us with quite the enigma. We didn't really know what it was or what to do, but that is no excuse to violate the rights of the citizens of the state of Idaho.
I say vote no on this and let the teachers teach and quit bringing in coaches to teach the teachers to teach, and let's get education going again in Idaho.
I don't know what's coming after this current administration for the feds, and we need this law because our federal laws on immigration have failed.
Mr. President, I think it's incumbent upon us to allow parents to use their hard-earned dollars to provide what's best for their children.
If I was looking at a business and I was looking at these figures, there would be heads rolling because this is unsustainable.
My concern is that the resilience of Idahoans who believe in self-reliance and self-responsibility will be eroded.
We need to be protecting our First Amendment rights, not inventing ways to slowly chip away at them.
The First Amendment and our freedom of religion, freedom of speech are our first liberties. They are so important. We don't have to rest without them.
Yeah, watch it.
Come on.
Down the road. We have to step up. Our federal government is obviously not going to do anything. So we need to get the ball in motion and change the paradigm of thought that we are dependent on lawlessness or an economic zone to prosper. That's not what our people are about or have ever been about. We need to start moving and shifting the narrative on how we find resolutions and how we fix this problem without maintaining lawlessness and a blind eye to something that our people are demanding a solution to. So I am a green light, and I ask for your green lights.
Debate on motion. Good lady from 8.
To debate in favor of the bill.
Good lady has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very quickly, this bill is a good bill because it does not involve just one nationality. It involves all nationalities that come to this country. I personally know of 2 people that are here in this country from Europe that are here illegally, and they have been for many, many years. With this program, we could probably address this. So it is, once again, it's not about one single nationality or just the southern border. It's about all of our borders, which includes Idaho, because we are a border state because of the illegal immigration that is coming here. So please vote in favor of this bill.
Jump 24.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate against.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think it's part of this whole debate is I think we're talking about 2 different populations. I think one population we're talking about has been here for 10, 15, 20 years and is integrated into the culture as much as they can within the federal allowances and federal law that we have to deal with. I think there's another population that was referred to earlier that's come here in the last 2 or 3 years which is the vast majority of the problems that we have with that people group. And I'm in agreement of trying to figure out how to pursue beyond or assist the federal government in identifying and deporting that population. But I think it's impractical and illogical to consider that group of people that has been here and has sustained our economy. We're not looking just at agriculture. We're looking at construction, concrete, roofing. A lot of HVAC gets put in there, framing, landscaping. The service industry uses a tremendous amount of these people. And by and large, these folks are everyday folks. They've been here a long time. If they've broken the law, they've fallen into the system somewhere. They are living within a zone that we've allowed them to live in. And so the fault lies not with the state, but the fault lies with the federal government for not being willing to form some kind of a work visa where this population can be integrated. President Reagan took a step in that direction many years ago when he set up a system where if one employed this kind of a person and was willing to sponsor him, they had a mechanism where they could bring him in, talk about it. If they hadn't violated the law and met a certain number of standards, then they could get a work visa. And that's where we need to be with this. We need to be practical about it. We need to figure out how this population that's law-abiding and working and supporting our economy can get some form of visa or whatever it might be to work, not to become citizens, but just simply to be able to work. So I would ask the body to consider that and to oppose this till we get a better alternative.
Further debate on the motion. Gentleman for.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Debate bill.
Has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I also would like to make some reference to the legislation without the numbers, but in general.
Are you asking unanimous
I'm
consent?
asking unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent has been requested to refer to other pending legislation. Is there objection? Hearing that, gentleman may do so.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, over the last several weeks, there have been several bills in different committees that are intended to ensure compliance with the laws that we pass in this state. And yet here we are hearing arguments saying that we don't have to obey the law if we don't like the law. Well, we are either a nation of law or we're not a nation of law. We have immigration law. The only thing wrong with immigration law is when you ignore the process. There is a process to apply for citizenship. It can be used. I don't know why there's objection to doing that. What I'm hearing is that certain industries are addicted to illegal labor, to people who are here illegally. Well, you've got to cure yourself of that addiction. There are ways to do that. Other industries have done it. There's no reason why we have to continue down this path of continuing to break law and saying, we want you to follow this set of laws, but we don't want to follow that set of laws. So I urge a green light on this.
Debate on the motion. Jump to.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to debate.
Gentleman has the floor.
Just one point of clarity, and I apologize if I'll sound like a resounding gong because we'll have another bill here maybe, but one of the things that keeps getting argued here is some context where if we enact E-Verify, that all the folks that are here working that are not here legally are going to be sent into the streets. I'll remind the good body that this bill is for new hires. Doesn't have anything to do with the people that are already working. So if your industry already employs hundreds or tens or just a few people who are in this country illegally, this bill doesn't affect it. This bill is for new hires. But the good gentleman to my left over here just mentioned something that's very dear to my heart. I call it the big lie. See, when I moved here from Nevada 28 years ago, but during that time, I would hear this big lie often. They only do the work nobody else wants to do. And in 1981 that was like house services and hotel services. By the time my wife and I moved, and we owned a small landscaping company, we did new landscape and irrigation in new homes. By the time we left in 1998, every aspect of concrete, framing, window setting, roofing, every aspect of construction, including that landscaping install and irrigation, had been picked up by the people who only do the things nobody else wants to do. See, it's a never-ending downward spiral. Construction jobs have always been considered great jobs, $30 to $40 an hour. Young men and women working their way up through life, and some building careers out of it. But now it's the jobs nobody else wants to do. We're told that because the unemployment number is so low that we just don't have the workers. We're not told about the 20% of young men, 18 to 25, that have dropped out. I don't know where they are. Basements, who knows? They're not in the workforce. They're not counted in your unemployment numbers, but they exist. Maybe it's because they don't want to do construction for $12 or $13 an hour, because they're normally paid $30 to $40 an hour for those jobs. We're hearing from contractors in the southeastern part of our state that can't competitively bid. So soon those will be jobs too that nobody else wants to do, because they've been driven into a point where they can't make wages. This is what happens, folks, when we don't obey the law. When we make concessions for things that sound compassionate, well, they've been here a long time. I would contend that if someone broke into your house, the length of his time in your living room is not going to make any difference to you. It's against the law. And to say that this is just a federal problem, I guess we should throw away all the drug laws, because they're all illegally federally, so we don't need to have those either. Because the Fed will take care of it, because we know they've done so well in every arena that they're in. This is simple, folks, and these bills are coming because 80%. I mentioned this yesterday in a committee. 80% of the population of the state of Idaho. There are 35 districts represented on this floor. 80% of your folks want this. This isn't a new thing. You know, we should hearken our hearts back to the mid-1800s and things that happened during that time, when we decry that we must have these workers, because we've heard these echoes before in our country, and they don't end well. Thank you.
For the debate on the motion. Gentleman 28.
Good speaker to debate against the bill.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, good speaker and good body. I appreciate the last two representatives' comments, and they bring up exactly what I am concerned about this bill. This bill deals with E-Verify. It does not deal with hiring illegals. E-Verify is not the law. Our industries are following the law. If we enact this bill and make our industries throughout the whole state E-Verify, we are handicapping our industries. We're putting them on an uneven playing field with the states around us, and we are not solving the problem. An illegal hire will realize this, and just our workforce will leave and go across the borders. My district is down there along the Utah borders. What's to say that all those workers don't just go 10 miles and start working across the border? If this bill passes, we are handicapping not only our agriculture and a lot of our service industries, but also our big industries. And for that reason, I will be a red light, and I urge yours also.
For debate on the motion, gentleman from 11.
To debate in favor of the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you. Good ladies and gentlemen of the body, I would like to point out the fact that immigration reform in the United States has been such a hot topic that was one of the very, very important reasons that so many people voted for our president in the last election. And I would argue that what he has done in our country with securing the border has been a very good step. One of the things that we need to take a look at and be very reminded of and think about is kind of peripheral to the immigration issue, but it's also very much a part of it. And that's the children that have been caught up in this, in the immigration across our southern border over the last several years. In a report that was released by the Department of Homeland Security not even 11 months ago, they talked about how 233,000 children who were unaccompanied have been unable to be located once they came into the United States. Just to put into perspective, 233,000 is the nearest reports that I can find is approximately the population of the city of Boise. That is an incredible.
Well, good morning, folks. We are watching live Representative Lucas Kaler.
I just want to remind the body that, as the good gentleman from 2 said, this is a bill about new hires in Idaho, not children we can't find across the country or anything like that, just for the record.
Okay, so Representative Kaler there being reminded to stay on topic, it sounds like. Welcome, everybody. As you can tell, House Bill 704, the E-Verify bill, is now before the entire House floor. We have been watching debate since the program started. Just want to let you know, we'll keep watching this for a little bit. We do have a guest awaiting in the wings as well about the a hearing that happened yesterday in the Senate Commerce Committee. So we will we'll keep you up to speed on that. And then Brian Allman is back as well. And so let's no go ahead, guys. Let's we're gonna keep watching this debate here just for a moment longer to see how many folks can stand
Idaho
up here.
To be a part of the problem, let's be a part of the solution. Additionally, Caldwell, District 11, where I represent, has a very large Hispanic population. And when I was campaigning and continue to campaign, I meet with a lot of Hispanic constituents. And one of the major concerns and complaints from these good people in our community is that they came here the right way, they came here legally, and they dislike the fact that there are other people coming across the border illegally trying to apply for the same jobs and the same services and putting a burden on our tax system that they have also paid into, but they did it the right way and they don't feel that it's fair. And so I think that this bill is definitely a good step in immigration reform for Idaho, and I would encourage your green light on this.
Thank you, Speaker. Just to debate lightly.
Lady has the floor.
I didn't plan on standing up today, but as the history teacher, I'm listening to all this, and I just want to remind us of the language that we are using, that we are saying, those people, our people, them, us. It's really tough. That is a really tough thing that we are doing. And historically, it is proven to be detrimental to humanity. And so I would just caution all of us to be inclusive in our language and to avoid using terms like our people, those people.
Further debate on the motion. Hearing none, the gentleman from 31.
31. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose, gentleman rise?
But I would like to debate the bill, Mr. Speaker. If I
Gentleman has the floor to debate the motion.
Thank you very much. Good ladies and gentlemen, some of you may remember that 2 years ago, on March 28th of 2024, I presented before this body a piece of legislation that called upon Congress and the President of the United States to act promptly to secure the border, to provide for us a viable guest worker program, not just for Idaho, but for the entire country. A piece of legislation had 24 House sponsors, co-sponsors. The vote count was 62 ayes, 5 nays, with 3 absent and excused. Where have we come since then? Obviously, we've come a long way as far as securing the border goes. We really have. But we haven't come far at all when we come to the issue of providing a viable guest worker program for the citizens of the United States. We haven't come far at all. We need action, but we need federal action. Mr. Speaker, do I have permission to quote from the President of the United States?
The gentleman would like to read a quote. Is there an objection? He's asking unanimous consent, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hearing none, gentleman may read the quote.
This is what the President said recently. We need them to come in. Just so you understand something, I am all for people coming into the country through the border legally. We need people. We're building factories all over the country, and we need them. And then when the President was pressed on whether or not he would support reform so that we could have a viable guest worker program, he said, well, that's tricky and it's very complicated. It is that. It's tricky and it's complicated. What we're considering today seems simple, but what we're essentially being asked to do is codify and enforce a broken federal policy. And I fear greatly that that will come back to bite the citizens of the state of Idaho. With that, I urge a red light. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Debate on the motion. Job from 5.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are legitimate arguments.
Would like to debate the bill?
I would like to debate in favor of the bill. Thank you.
Gentleman has the floor.
There are legitimate arguments on both sides of this discussion. There is no doubt that we need a better immigration policy for workers. In my experience, I have traveled to the Far East. I've visited Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia on a number of different trips for different companies. The thing that struck me about going to Malaysia was there were several companies, including a subcontractor for a company that I worked for, that had foreign workers that were there legitimately. Their employer had green card equivalent certified workers working for them. The employer provided jobs, meals, and even a dormitory for these people, and we got to see them from a distance. They looked reasonable. However, the employer held the green card. If an employee who was legitimately in Malaysia wanted to seek a better job, a higher paying job, he could request the green card from his employer, but that was never granted. It was basically a slave arrangement. I have your green card, you work for me, or you're going back home, wherever home might be. If you also remember Foxconn in China back in 2010, they were a subcontractor of Apple Corporation. They were building the iPhones. There were a number of suicides where Foxconn workers would jump out of high floors of either the factory building or the dormitories to commit suicide. This happened in 2010, 2013, 2014, 2016, 2018, and it made international news. Foxconn had to actually install extended nets coming out of the windows to keep these people from committing suicide in that fashion. They would just bounce off the nets and not get killed. Basically, what we have created and other companies have created is a second-class working system that is not too far above slavery. we have to consider the plight of the workers as well. It's not just an employer issue. We have created a shadow society where these workers are afraid to complain about any kind of working conditions or wages for fear of being exposed and outed and perhaps even being deported. So long-term, we also have to consider the plight and the well-being of some of these immigrant workers who do not have that kind of protection right now. So with these considerations, I would ask for your green light on this particular bill. Thank you.
Further debate on the motion? Hearing none. Gentlemen, care to close the debate?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, good body, for the debate and the conversation. I want to answer a few of the questions that were raised during debate, and I first want to say I have the utmost respect for the good gentleman from 27. He's one of the individuals in this body that I just really appreciate and love, but he mentioned Arizona, and I think in Arizona, since they have implemented universal E-Verify, they have had a 17% reduction in illegal immigration. And it remains a top 10 dairy state. The actual economy and the dairy industry has doubled. I think that we can be a friendly state for regulation and still stand for law and order. I think, you know, if the business that you're running is based on breaking a law, then you need to rethink the business practice. The states do need to take action. We know that this has been a 40-year issue with the federal government, and if we keep kicking that ball down the court, it's going to be an issue for us for a long time. And so, you know, we have the opportunity as state legislators to stand up and do what's right for law and order. I want to give some more time to my good co-sponsor from District 12, but I urge your green light because this is a hot topic in our country and in our state. Thank you.
Gentleman 12 yield.
Gentleman yields. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Has the floor to continue closing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll close with I'm trying to bat down a couple arguments here. I think that if you hear the heart of my good colleague from District 3 and myself, we are pro-immigration. We're pro-legal immigration. It was interesting that in this off-season, myself and several others were asked to come into a very large general contractor's office in separate individual meetings, and I was expecting a conversation on immigration policy. And I was surprised for them to say, we need E-Verify in the construction industry. I was like, am I hearing you correctly? And he said, absolutely. He said, because we have an unfair competitive advantage. When there's people in the construction industry that are going out and using illegal workforce, they can bid a job at such a lower margin than we can. And I said, wow, I'm really shocked to hear that. He said, you got to do this. We've got to do something to curb this. So it's not one industry specific. This is a larger issue throughout the state of Idaho. It doesn't just go at one industry, the ag industry. This goes into construction. It goes into other industries as well. I think one of the points that I would drive home is this is not a workforce purge. It's a hiring compliance. There's a difference there. We're not trying to purge the workforce. We're trying to have a compliance standard set for things moving forward. And this was said earlier, but I think the gentleman from District 2, that this affects new hires going forward. So consider that as you're weighing out your decision here, that this is a new workforce hiring standard moving forward. I think I wrote down something here that we've talked a little bit about the federal government. When Washington neglects its responsibility to the states, it's our responsibility to step up. It's our responsibility to safeguard liberty, to protect our citizens, and to uphold the Constitution. So with that, we urge your green light.
Okay, folks, it looks like we are ready to have a vote here on House Bill 704. We watched a bunch of the debate, so we are going to...
Thank you. Debate is closed. Question is, shall House Bill 704 pass?
Yep, we're going to watch it here. So I'm highly optimistic, but we'll see how many greens light up on the board. In a body like this, you need over 50% for this one bill, so that would bring us to 36 votes, and it looks like it's crossed the threshold, as we are now in the 40s. E-Verify passes the House, folks, 43 to 26. 43-26.
Lock machine, report the pairs.
That is very good news for
votes aye,
Idaho,
McCann votes nay.
as now
Healy
House
votes
Bill
aye,
704 will
Tice
move
votes
over to the Senate.
43
And
ayes.
we'll keep tabs as it has its hearing over there. You'll hear a lot of the same arguments once again. The debate will continue, and we will definitely keep track of it. All right, folks, let's take a short break. We'll be right back, and we'll be on the other side of the break. We'll have Melissa Radford with us to share about her experience yesterday in the Senate Commerce Committee. Stay right with us.
And that's exactly what happened. You want to pull the tape? You can pull the tape because we now got video.
Idaho is the dirt under your fingernails after an honest day's work. Idaho is the hug around your neck when your daughter spells her first word. Idaho is the written word of the law, steadfast and impartial, guarding liberty for all. Idaho is the family rifle passed down, a legacy of protection and the right to stand firm. Idaho is the echo of your own voice, unshaken and free, standing tall among a world silenced. Idaho is the home that's built to weather storms, not empty wallets. Idaho is the quiet trust between a patient and healer, unbroken and sacred. Idaho is the hymn carried by the Spirit, gathering neighbors together in faith and purpose. Idaho is the laughter around a campfire, a family's bond growing stronger with every word. Idaho is the pioneer's will, firm and clear. We govern ourselves, free and unbound. Idaho is what America was. Let's keep it that way. Ask your legislator to sign the Citizens Alliance of Idaho pledge to preserve our shared values. We ride together.
Record introduce
Okay, folks. Oh, you're right. Let's just show the video.
yourself, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman, Foreman, and Committee. My name is Melissa Radford. My husband Jeremy and I live in Coeur d'Alene, and I'm here to ask you to support House Bill 583. We purchased an old neglected house near Coeur d'Alene and spent 2 years renovating it. It is now a beautiful home, and we enjoy sharing it with visitors. We decorate our home at Christmas time. We keep it clean, safe, and attractive year-round for our neighbors and guests. H583 is the result of 3 years of work to create clear and unambiguous protections for short-term rental owners' private property rights against increasing discrimination and overreach by local governments across Idaho. Last year, we offered some good faith compromises, including a 3 strikes clause and mandatory licensing, but you rightly rejected them on the Senate floor. Those provisions violated vicarious liability protections and treated property rights like privileges to be purchased from the government. House Bill 583 fixes those flaws. It delivers robust property rights protections while allowing fair, equal application of legitimate safety and community standards that apply to all homes, not just vacation rentals. We've heard heartbreaking stories of discrimination and overreach from hosts across Idaho, some of whom you will hear from today. We've tried engagement at City Council statewide, only to face ordinance after ordinance that unfairly target certain property owners in arbitrary ways. Homeowners have spent tens to hundreds of thousands on lawyers, lawsuits, and forced modifications to the physical structure of their property, targeted and burdensome regulations only required because they are using their homes as their private properties as a short-term rental. I would not be standing here 3 years in a row if this wasn't an existential crisis and a violation of property rights that only you can remedy. Every effort has been made to solve these issues locally and through expensive court proceedings. The current patchwork approach of unaccountable overregulation targeting certain types of property owners needs to end. That's why we are here. We need your help, and H583 is the solution. Our co-sponsor list for H583 includes 35% of the entire Idaho legislature. Support for our common sense solutions is overwhelming. Please send House Bill 583 to the Senate floor with a strong do pass recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Committee, any questions?
And we've been, sorry, no audio there. Very good. This is, if you recognize Melissa Radford there, she has been on the program a couple of times talking about this very issue for the last couple of years. She's been down there testifying, trying to get this type of bill passed. And what was interesting about yesterday's hearing is that there were two bills. There was one bill in the Senate that was making its way through the Senate. And then there was this House Bill 583 that was making its way through the House. It passed the House, and it was having a hearing at the same time the Senate bill was having a hearing in that committee. So yesterday's presentation in the committee was people presenting both bills, allowing testimony on both bills, and then once both bills were presented, the two committees ended up voting on both of the bills. The Senate bill was voted down, and it was held in committee, and the House bill escaped the committee 5-4, and will have a vote next week on the Senate floor. If it passes there, it makes its way to the governor's office for a signature. So joining us now is Melissa Radford. And Melissa, I have to ask you, where is, what happened? Are we not, have we been, can you not hear us? Oh, there we go.
I can't hear you, Matt.
Are we live? Can you hear me now? No?
I still don't hear you. I heard you before, but now I can't.
Okay, guys. Guys in the booth, could you hear me that whole time? I hear Melissa. Okay. Well, let's get in that private chat and see if we can hear her more. While we try and get that working, let's show you some clips from what happened yesterday. You just saw Melissa give her testimony, but let's jump over to a testimony from let's show Daniel Murphy's testimony. This was another citizen who showed up to testify. He was actually testifying on the Senate version of the bill, and we'll take a look at that, and then we'll check back in with Melissa in just a second. Let's watch Daniel Murphy's testimony on the Senate version, which ended up failing.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself, and floor is yours.
Daniel Murphy out of Boise. Senate Bill 1263 is a last-ditch effort, a Hail Mary pass by cities, counties, and their lobbyists to thwart the great and stellar efforts of so many short-term rental business owners who have fought so hard for 3 sessions for their bill 583. Basically, you've seen the statement of purpose and the legislation. There's restrictions and discrimination in those 2 pieces of information that you get online. Okay. Basically, I know some towns and some larger cities love ordinances and restrictions, especially ones that discriminate against some of the population. And tourist towns and cities should want to make it easier for their tourism industry to thrive and prosper. Well, what I'm going to say is I'm hoping that 1263 fails. And with 0 seconds on the clock, I strongly encourage this committee to make sure Senate Bill 1263 Hail Mary pass falls incomplete. Thank you.
Thank you.
What great testimony! Great testimony from Daniel Murphy down there. Let's bring Melissa back in. I think we've got our audio problem fixed there. Melissa, can you hear us now?
Again.
We lost it again. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Just get out and get back in. Get out and get back in.
I just already did.
Okay, we'll get her off the screen there. We'll try it one more time. We can hear you. I swear we can hear you. So let's see if she can pop back in when she does, and we'll catch it right at the moment that she can come back in. Just a few technical difficulties. You know, I don't know if you noticed, but I have a different mic today as well. I had technical difficulties coming back when I was on the road. Let's bring in Melissa here as soon as she pops up. Melissa, can you hear us now?
Finally, yeah, it's like I could hear, and then all of a sudden when you popped up, nothing. So
Yeah.
sorry, I missed your whole intro, except for Matt. I heard Dan's testimony, and it was as wonderful the second time as the first.
It was. And we obviously we played your testimony as well. We were just telling the audience that there were two different bills that were happening in the same committee. And I thought it was a fair approach to say, hey, let's listen to both these bills. Let's not pretend one is existing in a vacuum without the other. Let's talk through these things. It's a big hot issue. It's been something you've been working on for years now.
Yes.
And I want to say congratulations for getting your bill one step closer now to the governor's signature. How does it feel to have gotten this far?
I mean, it's just so amazing. You never, every step is just a nail biter, and we just do our best to tell our stories and tell what we've been through, and it seems to be making real progress this year, and we're just so grateful.
Yeah. So, and it always seems to come down to where the other side has this argument regarding sort of sometimes what feels like anecdotal problems, that they say, oh, well, this causes the neighborhood to become a party neighborhood. There's people come in with tens of dozens of cars and dozens of people and just have parties and trash the place, or it takes away from the beauty of the neighborhood because these are rentals and people who care about their homes, they actually do more to invest in the look of their home and so forth. What do you say to, you've been arguing these myths for so long. Does it become tiresome? How do people still use these, especially when you've been talking to them for the last few years?
Yeah. I mean, it's just hurtful. That's the most terrible thing. It's like these are like discriminatory language and anecdotal things that have been just thrown at us for years. And we're showing you those things aren't true. We are, less than 1% of the noise and disturbance complaints in our neighborhoods. We're around 1% of housing stock. We contribute massively to our, the small businesses in our community and to jobs and just to, the people that run short-term rentals are people who rely on this income to make ends meet. These aren't, massive corporations coming in and buying up housing. So, and we love our neighbors, we love our communities. It's like to continue with the slander, it's just hurtful. And yeah.
Yeah, well, I commend you for staying with it because it can get tiresome. I mean, most people give up after a year and just say, well, maybe we'll try again. But you guys are tenacious. You're down there. I mean, you're down there in the capital city right now, waiting for this vote next week.
Yes.
How do you? And I'm sure you've been taking a tally and looking at the list. How confident are you that it'll pass the Senate floor?
I mean, counting heads is one thing. It's more about relationships to us. So, we just want to make sure that we've talked to people, that they have their questions answered, that they know us. Because I think that's the difference between, a lobbyist and a grassroots effort. It's like to us, those relationships mean everything because we know that these people are making really important decisions for our state. And, this is life or death for us. I mean, this is our future. And so, even though we have committed so much time and money and effort to being here, it just matters so much to us. And honestly, the relationships we've built with legislators, things we never, relationships we never knew were even possible, have just been so precious to us. And so it's been an incredible experience, and we're really excited to get it to the floor because I think it has a really good chance of passing.
Yeah. One of the arguments, or I guess I don't want to say it was an argument, but one of the points that was made yesterday during the hearing that I found fascinating was that, short-term rental is not a new thing. It wasn't invented by Airbnb or VRBO or any of these others. I mean, people have been renting their homes for vacations, for short-term, for forever. And so when it comes to the fact that we do have these apps that make it easier for people to do, it's not just, I look at it and say, it's not just the apps that made it easier, it's also the overregulation of the hotel industry and the sort of the costs that go into that have really allowed people to say, is there an alternative to where I can stay and have a different experience?
Mhm.
I mean, is that what you see as well? I mean, what was the what has the impact been, and why did apps like Airbnb and VRBO, why did they explode in recent times?
Well, I mean, I think what's so fascinating to me is the fact that it's an amazing option for people, and it's just a different option. I don't see us as like competitors to hotels. I know they see us as competitors to them, but I think, it's just an option for families to be together. And, there's for people in distress or people, to just spend time in a home-like relationship when they're on vacation or when they're visiting relatives at the hospital or whatever. Like, it's just there's a call for it, and there's a call for hotels, and so those are both just options. I think what Airbnb and Vrbo as platforms on the websites, what it really does is provide safety and quality, because there are so many important standards that we hold ourselves to, and that our guests hold us to, and that we hold our guests to. And so, they've proliferated because they add so much to just the options for tourists, and just the safety surrounding offering homes to guests coming from out of the area.
Yeah, and it's such a great point, because as someone who has a family myself, whenever we're traveling or looking to book a place, it's like you go look at a hotel, and you're going to be bunking with your kids unless you get two separate rooms. But what if you have little kids? And then you have to pay for a giant suite, and then but it's still not the same. And then you go look and see, oh, I can rent a home. I can rent someone's home. Everybody has their own room, and it sometimes is either equal or less of the cost. And so it just totally makes sense. So I definitely agree with having all these options. The other point that a lot of people did bring up, and which you just did now, was kind of the safety aspect of it. Walk me through your mindset when it comes to being an owner of a home who I think has a natural inclination to want to have safety in your rental, right? Because a lot of these folks were saying, well, who's going to come in? We need people to come into these homes and inspect them and make sure they're safe. Walk me through that process there.
I mean, yeah, our number one priority obviously is having a safe home for our guests. We don't want our home to be damaged. We don't want our guests to be hurt. The safety is our utmost priority. So we are very careful to do that. Airbnb requires certain safety things for hosts, as far as like smoke detectors, and they make sure and let people know if there's a CO detector in the house and that kind of thing, which yeah, it's just a really important thing to us. So, I mean, kind of the implication that safety is not a concern is really a slanderous accusation, because of course we don't want people to get hurt and file a claim against our insurance or any of those things. And yeah, so I mean, and of course the safety of our guests and neighbors is of our utmost priority.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to let you go here. I know you've been waiting since the top of the hour. I really do appreciate hanging out with us while we watch that other vote there. But Melissa, where can people follow you? Where can people follow your journey here? And especially help celebrate, hopefully, when it makes it to the governor's desk.
Well, I have worked with some friends of mine from across the state to develop an organization called the Idaho Vacation Rental Association. So we've got a website that's still in its infancy, but at idahovra.org. And I'm also on X as VR Truth Freedom. And I just, kind of love sharing our journey on there. And yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
All right, very good. Excellent. All right, well, thanks, Melissa. We'll see you back.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, take care. All right, well, let's do this. Let's bring in Brian Allman here. Brian, I'm not sure how much of the hearing you saw yesterday on this particular issue, but I had a few clips I wanted to go over. But we also have some other clips that we had in the wings too. But we haven't seen you all week. How you been? You've been traveling?
Yeah, I've been good. I took a few days, went up north, not quite as far as north as you, but I went and met some folks up in Moscow, spoke to a few events, got to talk to a lot of interesting people, and hopefully that will, things will play out over the next few months as I continue to work to get people more involved in the civic process. But yeah, I did watch the hearing yesterday. That was really interesting. I didn't realize until after I'd written my article over at gemstatechronicle.com about it that I had the ready-made Thunderdome reference, because 2 bills entered and 1 bill left. Thankfully, it was the better of the 2 bills.
Yeah, exactly. It was the better of the 2 bills. One of the things that I found fascinating was it's what's called sometimes a hostile motion, where somebody says, you know what, I want to take this bill and send it to the amending order and add these two things and not ask the sponsor of the bill, the originator of the bill, if that's okay or if they agree with that. They're just going to make a motion to do that because they want to rewrite the bill. And that happened yesterday with House Bill 583, the one that eventually passed. Senator Guthrie, and we'll get to more on him in a second here, but Senator Guthrie is the one that made the motion. And I found it quite kind of interesting, some of the reasons why he brought this up. It's sort of a last-ditch effort. Let's listen to Senator Guthrie here.
Guthrie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I guess we can debate as long as we want on whether or not the sides work together. But I will tell you that in a couple of meetings just this week, the proponents of the Senate bill suggested just a couple of modest amendments, which were refused. And I think they're amendments that may make sense. And I'd like the committee to consider the opportunity to fix a couple things. One of which is the line on 583, which doesn't require any recognition of the increased need for sewer and other utility capacity. Some of these homes in some of these areas the capacity is well beyond single-family dwellings, and the city has no ability to factor that in, not only when they put the infrastructure in, but how that infrastructure is going to handle it. It doesn't mean they would do anything, but I think it gives them some discernment in that regard for those increased infrastructure needs. And then on page 2, all it's asking there on line 29 is just to provide the county or city with contact information for a local contact person. I think those are pretty reasonable requests. And so to suggest that the sponsors of 1263 haven't been amenable to trying to make something work, I think is maybe not fair. I think they have.
There's Senator Guthrie. Real quickly though, Brian, we were just chatting with everybody here. Guys, do we need to go live to the floor? Is the floor back in session?
They're back now. Oh, you're a few seconds behind, but they are coming back after going at ease because of some disagreement over the discussion of this bill about hiring or sanctioning employers that hire illegally.
Before going to these, the gentleman from 25 was debating, and we will continue with the good gentleman from 25's debate.
Thank you,
So this
Mr.
is House
Speaker.
Bill 700, correct?
When it comes down to it, it's like what I really like about this bill is the simple fact that it provides an avenue for employers to go and verify the status of their employees, to go and determine if they're going to be able to legally work here or not. You know, the big concern that I do have for a lot of these individuals that are working in these industries is the recourse of what they have. If they're able to have a redress of their grievance simply if they feel like they've been wrong. I think that this bill fixes that issue. And I would encourage a green light on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. For the debate on the motion, gentleman from 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to debate the bill.
Has the floor.
So quickly, I look at this as a good bill. I love 1 or 1.5 page bills. Regarding the concern about the Constitution, Article 6 is the most violated portion of the Constitution in the history of this republic, but I won't go into that. What I will say is that this law, by creating a misdemeanor, is doing what is considered a parallel state enactment known in federal code. It does not create any new or novel penalties, and therefore it comports completely with U.S. Code 18-1324A. This is fully constitutional. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For debate on the motion, gentleman 27.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to debate the bill.
Has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the body, this is the bill where not only do we abdicate our responsibility as government to the private sector, but we criminalize them if they don't. You know, it's interesting. I heard testimony in committee about this bill stating something to the long lines of that since the businesses were the ones that created this situation, that they should be responsible for fixing it. So if you go out and you live the American dream and you enterprise and you risk your capital, your name and your reputation, and you create jobs. And as you hire people that come in with documents and you document that and you certify that and you move forward, that you could potentially be held responsible for a criminal act. No good deed goes unpunished. You know, the irony of this bill is that, you know, the Hatfields and the McCoys would beat themselves to death with this bill, because they would be reporting each other every instance they could get as to what they might be doing across the fence for investigation. Or what about a disgruntled employee? This is a right to work state. We can fire people at will. Retribution. Well, let's have an investigation on my former employer and see what they're doing, see what their business practices are. Let's go verify them and see if they're actually acting in good faith in terms of their labor and their employment. There's a lot of issues with this bill. We heard a lot of testimony about going forward, looking forward, new hires. This bill criminalizes anybody who continues to hire. Language right out of the bill. This is the bill that will lay off those workers July 1st. This is the bill that says there's no fiscal impact. But when you go to push that button today, reread the fiscal impact on this bill and tell me how you reconcile that language with what this bill does, because it will have a fiscal impact on this state, I guarantee you. Those people will be laid off, and those jobs will go unfilled, because guess why? Well, we might have 3.5% unemployment, and maybe that unemployment number doesn't capture everybody in their underwear in their parents' basement playing video games, but those are not the people that are going to take these jobs. That is for sure. Those jobs will go unfilled, and there will be an economic downturn in this state, in this budget environment, and we will realize the revenue difference.
Brian, let's
body.
just be clear here. Let's just make everybody clear here, because we have the statement of purpose here. This law creates, or this bill would create a law that makes it a misdemeanor for employers to knowingly hire, continue to hire, and recruit individuals who are not lawfully present. So you essentially have that last argument there that said, how dare you?
Well, right. Everybody's kind of dancing around the issue here, and that is, there's this assumption by the people who are debating against this that Idaho's economy is dependent upon illegal aliens to work in numerous industries: construction, landscaping, dairy, farming, service, all of those things, and that if we actually enforce the law and say employers can't hire illegals, which is already the law, then it's going to harm the economy and we're all going to suffer. But is that an argument? Is that a good argument to continue letting people break the law?
I mean, and what's fascinating is that you have a lot of these people in positions of power, like Mickelson. I mean, this is the same thing of like the government agencies, freaking out because Speaker Moyle presented a bill that would have said the AG can go sue or hold you accountable for breaking the law if you're a government official who disobeys the law, like Governor McLean in Boise. The law is don't fly that flag, right? I mean, she got around the law, but I mean, there's plenty of other examples throughout the government where they're not holding true to it. So, and now you have these people who get elected and sitting there and say the law shouldn't apply to me, and it's BS.
Yeah.
We're watching Representative Hawkins here. It says House Bill 704. We know he's the sponsor of House Bill 700, which was the one that I thought we were debating.
Yeah,
so let's
Representative Hawkins is a sponsor of 704, which just passed, the E-Verify bill. This is the one to go after employers, and this is House Bill 700, sponsored by Representative Kyle Harris. IPTV has it wrong right now.
Okay, so IDP-TV, AGLQ television has it wrong. This is House Bill 700. Let's listen to Dale Hawkins.
Gentleman 15.
Not a human trafficking bill. We're really getting far afield here. I will stick to the bill here, please.
Virginia, gentleman 2.
I believe that the folks that we're talking about, that so many are telling me that they depend on labor, are being hired illegally. By us hiring, by businesses hiring, we are communicating to the world around us, come here, and not by legal means. I will close in my little part of this debate. My daughter went to Australia 7 years ago. If you go to Australia and they don't know you entered the country, they put you on an island until you're processed. My daughter went legally. She didn't have to, she had a visa to work. 7 years later and $15,000, she called me about 5 weeks ago and said, I got permanent resident status. She was excited. We're not, because that means she's going to be there longer, but there is a right way, and it's available to anyone from another country that wants to come here that way. All we're saying in this bill is that if you are an employer and you knowingly or should have known that you could be charged with a misdemeanor. Thank you.
For the debate on the motion, Joan, 3 care to close the debate. 7 care to close the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this has been some hearty debate. I know it's a rough topic for a lot of people to address, but at the end of the day, breaking law is breaking law. Period. It doesn't matter if you're breaking the law because you feel it's justified. People break laws every day because they feel it's justified. That doesn't make it okay. If you are knowingly hiring somebody that's not legally in this country and not legally able to work, you are currently breaking federal law. This just brings it into state law, which is not unconstitutional, as we heard from the good gentleman from District 1. This is a good bill. I ask for your green light.
Page closed. Question is, House Bill 700 pass the House. Clerk will unlock the machine. Members will cast their votes.
I would imagine this would go similarly to the previous bill.
It's interesting, the combination of the two bills.
Has every member
There it
voted?
is.
One is
Any
one
members change their vote?
says you have to use E-Verify, and this one says if you use E-Verify, then you're not going to get in trouble.
Vote the pairs.
Right.
Bruce votes aye. McCann votes nay. Healy votes aye. Matthias votes nay. Palmer votes aye. Green votes nay. Vishnevsky votes aye. Egbert votes nay.
36 ayes, 33
Gonna have-
nay, 1 abstention.
Gonna have to go and find the
House
folks who
Bill
voted
700
aye on
pass the House.
704, but nay on 700. That would be an interesting, hair to split.
Yeah, what is the what would be the implication of that as we watch the House go ahead and adjourn for the day, most likely? What's the implication of that? You vote for the E-Verify bill, you don't vote for the E-Verify bill, but you do vote for this, and vice versa.
Yeah, well, we'll have to take a look at that. This obviously this debate will continue. These are just two of the many immigration bills that are here this session, and now they head over to the Senate, where the debate will be just as intense, if not more so. But I'm glad to see this going. I've been saying since last summer that I wanted to see immigration be the top issue of the session. Obviously, the budget has also taken up a lot of oxygen here, but this. I think this is good progress.
Yeah, it absolutely is good progress. We're going to enforce the law. I mean, I'm about to lose my mind here. Like, this should be a no-brainer. This is Idaho. You're full. I mean, okay, but let's be honest though. Let's be honest about this real quickly. The people who have been advocating for illegal labor for a very, very, very long time have been big business, and big business guys like Charles Koch and the Koch brothers and that sort of open border wing of the Libertarian Party. Like, they have been an open borders advocate forever. And it is simply because they say, let the free market work. If someone wants to work for $1 a day, they should be allowed to work for $1 a day. Okay, I get the argument, but when you put it into practice and you see your entire nation crumble, you watch places like in Michigan, all across the Rust Belt, right, where literally all the machinery has rusted away. I mean, is that why we call it the Rust Belt now? I mean, it's almost like that way. And our country has fallen deeply because of the deals made in the 1990s that opened up the, what was it? Was it NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement? And all the different things that saw jobs and manufacturing flee America and cheap labor flood our market, completely change our culture, completely change the way we do business, completely change the mindset of young people and the people who want to do, and the people who wanted to raise their families into their family business, and just watch it all crumble away. And so this is what Trump ran on in 2016 was this kind of stuff. And he's been met resistance because the Republican Party, I mean, there have been many videos out there where you watch where everything Trump has been saying regarding illegal immigration and the workforce and putting America first, these were things that Bill Clinton was saying in the 90s, and the Republicans were standing up. So it's an issue that has been quietly propping up the Republican Party for so long because of those narratives. And as somebody who has found himself never being a leftist, but waning through the libertarian world, waning through the conservative world, the America First, and just trying to find a place where we can just say what is the best path forward for our children and for our families and for our society. And it certainly isn't giving it away and abdicating the law and giving everything away to an illegal workforce. Like, we have to do the job.
Right. Yeah. Totally agree. No disagreement here. And several of the debates, if viewers want to see some of the debates, it was interesting, informative, and spicy at times. But I think it was Representative Dale Hawkins was explaining how the current situation gives competitive advantage to companies that break the law. They know they're hiring illegal aliens. The dairymen's lobbyist said that up to 70% of their employees could fail an audit of their I-9 forms. So they know they're there. They know they're doing it. And, like Representative Levitt was saying, it almost creates a slavery situation in that they are locked in here because the illegal alien workers know that if they complain too loudly, then they'll just get deported. And so they can't complain. They have to do whatever the companies want. And the companies like that arrangement because they don't have to pay American workers American wages. And they have a very, a locked-in workforce. It's a bad situation. We need to enforce the existing laws that we have, and return to a more sensible system where young people can go out and work good jobs that teach them good skills and are part of our economy without having to compete with people from other countries who are here illegally, who are working for much less money and in a situation that is bad for them and bad for our society as well.
And horribly bad for our society, especially when they are also most likely getting, using up all of the public education, right? With the children that get brought over as well, the finite resources that are in our emergency medical and healthcare centers. One of the producers here put a great point on it, and we need to reflect on it. Is the uniparty? This is the uniparty. This is what the uniparty is. This is the Republican, these GOP, good old boy establishment Republicans who want this cheap labor workforce, and then the establishment Democrats who want a voting bloc to keep them in power. And this is the game they play. And then the rest of us, the forgotten man, is out there grinding away, feeling like suckers because we won't take a dime from the government. And getting screwed in the end, and it's over. I mean, this is exactly what America First is all about. It's getting E-Verify, even though it's not perfect. But if it wasn't so perfect, you wouldn't find this much resistance. If it didn't work, if it actually didn't work, you wouldn't find this much resistance. And then you have House Bill 700 here, who says, "Look at this. If you knowingly hire an illegal alien, which is illegal to do, you will get penalized for it." And these people in red say, "No, we don't like that." I mean, that is awful. I am surprised by some of these bills. I'm surprised by some of these votes. Outgoing Representative Vanderwater, right? However you say the gentleman's name.
Representative Vanderwater from he's from right down the road from me, down in South Meridian.
Yeah,
and he's here voting against this. Representative Pickett debated against both bills, and his argument was that this could cause a bunch of people to leave. that the illegal aliens, if this passes, they would leave and go to some other state. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that might require some adjustment in our economy. Got to fill those spots, but at the same time, that's what we want to happen. We don't want people here who are working illegally.
Yeah, shocker. If we enforce this law, illegals will leave. That's the whole point. That is the whole point. He doesn't get it. I suggest if your farm, your ranch, whatever business you're in, your hospitality, if you are dead set on making sure that you can hire illegals, guess what? Go to California. No problem there. Because there's plenty of companies in California that are getting fed up with how California treats their company, and they're leaving and going to different states. Everybody's doing it. We've all had to. Everybody will have to suffer the consequences of what happens. Here are the states you can go to if you don't want to do this: California, Oregon, Nevada, real close. Even Montana and Wyoming. Yeah, even Montana, Wyoming don't have mandatory E-Verify. So head on over there, because in Idaho we're going to follow the law and we're going to protect Idahoans. It's going to be America first. It's going to be Idaho first, and it's going to be our children and our family first. I'm so sick of watching this argument. I cannot believe it. It's like when you actually see the bloodbath, and that's what it was there. Those red votes, that's the blood. That's the stain on our state right there, right? That is the stain. Take a good look at that. Every single one of those red votes said it's perfectly fine to knowingly hire an illegal alien. They should not be penalized if you hire an illegal alien. That is the folks in red.
Yeah. Can't say anything more than that.
Brian, where can people follow you, and what's coming next? What's coming out there next for you?
At Brian Allman on X, gemstatechronicle.com. I wrote something yesterday about that short-term rental showdown in the Senate. And then, filing period for candidates for legislature, statewide, and federal offices ends today at 5 o'clock, which means we're going to know who's on the ballot, and I'll be covering that as well.
Yeah, and I hope every single one of those folks in red have a challenger, because you got some meat on the bones if you're a challenger for them. Brian, thank you again. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. All right, folks. I hope you're up in arms about this too, man, because we have to get fired up. We got to get fired up. This is what it's all about. This is what the grassroots is all about. This is what we've been fighting for the last 10 years. If you're somebody who watched the rise of Trump and what he was running on, and what we've been doing here in this country or in this state. Folks like Jordan Redmond, Dale Hawkins, Kyle Harris, Jaron Crane with these bills. This is it. This is the whole deal right here. It is standing up for this has huge ramifications. It's not just about taking out a illegal. It's our entire system. We've said it time and time again. The strain on our resources, on our welfare state, it's incredible. The everybody's complaining about all this. We have to do all these cuts. Do you know what happens when you get rid of all this entire illegal workforce? And the folks that are here, get them out of Idaho, and you will see our economies thrive. You will see families thrive. You will see the grit and the hard work come into play, because this is America. This is it, man. All right, folks, we'll be back next week. Leave a message. Yeah, that's right. If you hire an illegal, you should be held accountable. That is exactly right, folks. That is exactly right. So I pray that you give us a call. 208-402-4915. That's the number to leave a message. Dial in. We'll play it on the air for you and for everybody across Idaho. Head on over to our YouTube channel, Idaho Signal at Citizens Alliance Idaho. That's our YouTube channel. We just cracked 7,500 subscribers. Holy cow, 7 weeks ago we were at 2,000. We've increased 5,500 subscribers. Head on over there now and watch the archive. But if you're out and about, IdahoSignal.live is where you can listen to the program streaming on a loop. So this episode and this fire will continue throughout the weekend. And of course, big thanks to folks who help present this show, AmericanSmokeCo.com. AmericanSmokeCo.com. The American Smoke Company does smoked salts for your meats, your veggies, and those farm fresh eggs. All right, folks, we will see you next week.
Raised out families with stories to tell. Generations working hard hand in hand.
That's hilarious.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So raise that flag, flag, freedom fly. Echo liberty from plains to mountain high. America's heartbeats red, white, and blue. Hey, hey. 250 years of me and you. Yeah, lift it up loud. Hey, Idaho proud. American true. Church bells ring through the valley air. Rodeo lights, what a life we share. As a perpetua, forever we'll sing. God, land, family. Freedom ring. So raise that flag, flag, freedom fly. Echo liberty from plains to mountains high. America's heartbeats red, white, and blue. 250 years of me and you. Yeah, lift it up loud. Hey, Idaho proud. American true. Idaho proud. Red, white, and blue. Idaho proud. Red, white, and blue.
This bill, I think, puts a stake in the ground that says we have a sovereign right to protect what's ours.